students at ACS routinely gather twice a week for chapel services during school. We are blessed to have many speakers come and deliver the Word of God to our young people. Here's a recent message given by our very own headmaster, Mr. Steve Cummings.
Then he commanded the multitudes to sit down in the grass, and he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, and looking up to heaven, he blessed it and broke and gave the loaves to the disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitudes. See, here's what Christ does. All he says is, here's all he says, just do what you can do. He doesn't say, go out, you have to perform miracles. He doesn't say, go out, you have to be the next Billy Graham. He doesn't say that you have to do anything that you're not equipped to do. But he does say, do what you are equipped to do. Do what you can do. So what could these disciples do? Well, we can stand here and pass out this bread. We can do that at least, right? We can all stand and we can all pass out bread. We can at least do that. That's all he says. Just do what you can do. But I've given every one of you in here some kind of gift, something that you can do in ministry. So some of the gifts that y'all have is, you might have, the only gift you have is just to encourage people. And what a fantastic gift that is. Because everybody needs to be encouraged. Everybody needs to be loved. Because we're humans, and that's how God's made us. It's tough to go through the world and never be encouraged. It's tough to go through this world and never have anybody say to you, I love you. That's hard. Some of you, that's what you can do. You do a great job at it. Do it. Just do what God tells you to do. Just do that. And He'll do the rest. All right. So they all ate and were filled, and they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments that remained. Now those who had eaten were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Okay. This is the neat part too. Immediately after that, Jesus made His disciples get into the boat and go before Him to the other side while He sent the multitudes away. And when He had sent the multitudes away, He went up on the mountain by Himself to pray. Now when evening came, He was alone there. Okay, man, just lots of lessons even just in these verses that we won't go into. But I will point out one thing. Even Jesus Christ, the Messiah, spent time alone praying. If Jesus Christ, the Messiah, needed to spend some time alone praying, I bet all of us need to. So I encourage you to do that. But here's what happened. So Jesus told His disciples, y'all go ahead. Y'all go on in the Sea of Galilee. Get your boat, row it on over to the other side. You know, I'll catch up with you later. Now, several of these disciples were fishermen. They were well experienced on the Sea of Galilee. They caught fish. I mean, they knew what they were doing in the water. But this is what happened. But the boat was now in the middle of the sea, tossed by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now, in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went to them, walking on the sea. And when the disciples saw Him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, "It's a ghost," and they cried out for fear. So here's what's happening, okay? Jesus sends the disciples on. He dismisses the crowd. I bet that was an event in and of itself. I bet all these people had just been healed and just been fed. He's saying, okay, y'all need to leave now. No, I think we'll hang out with you, Jesus. This is working out pretty good so far. You know, we got healed and we got fed. I think we'll just hang out with you. He dismisses the crowd. He goes alone to pray. And then what happens, these guys are out there in the middle of the Sea of Galilee, and they're rowing as hard as they can, and they're not going anywhere. Because the wind in the sea is contrary to them, which means it was going against them. So they're out there in the stationary rowing machine, working as hard as they can, not going anywhere. Jesus knew He had sent His disciples into a storm, so He walks out there. He's walking on the sea. They think they see a ghost. And I wonder if back then, ghosts might not have been, people thought they saw ghosts might not even be a little more real than it is today. Because you read the New Testament, there's a lot of talk about casting out demons. So these guys, the disciples, thought they saw a ghost and they cried out for fear. And He said, "Be of good cheer, it is I, do not be afraid." Now here's the second part of the title The first part of it was, give me what you have. Second part is, get out of the boat. And Peter answered and said, Lord, if it is you, command me to come on the water. So Peter was like, okay, I hope this is Jesus. I think this is Jesus. Yeah, I'm getting a little better look now. I think it is Jesus. Hey, Jesus, if that really is you, command me to come to you on the water. Are you willing, is anybody in this room willing to pray the Peter prayer? Jesus, if that's really you nudging me in my mind and heart to do something, then command me to go do it. Help me to go do it. Is anybody willing to pray that? Does anybody say, I think the Lord's leading me to do something. I'm going to really ask Him to help me. Command me to go do this. So that's what Peter did. Command me to come to you on the water. What happened? Jesus didn't say, Peter, I'm the only guy that walks on the water around here. Not you, man. What did He say? He said, come. If you want to get out of the boat, if you want to walk on the water, if you're trusting in me that you can do that, come. That's what He said. And when Peter had come down out of the boat, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. How about that? That was a pretty special few steps, I bet, for the Apostle Peter. Peter was stretching his faith muscle. He got out of the boat. When I came over to Athens Christian School, I had to get out of my boat of the legal profession. I was real comfortable being a lawyer. It's fun sometimes just to be ugly to people, isn't it? That's what lawyers do all the time. Yeah, okay, that's great, Steve. That's what I want you to do for 20 years. Now get out of the boat, man. It's time to get out of the boat. It's time to go do something else. It's time to do something I'm calling you to do. I talked to a lady in her late 50s. She's been doing something for over 20 years of her life. She came to me, we were talking. She said, you know what, I'm about to go do something else. And I'm so excited because the Lord's calling me to do it. And at 50-something years old, late 50s, she's jumping out of her boat. She's getting out of her comfort zone. That's what Peter did. He got out of his boat. He got out of the comfort zone. Now, he did great for a few steps, but then what happened? But when he saw that the wind was boisterous, he was afraid and beginning to sink. He cried out, saying, Lord, save me. We could talk a whole chapel about just that verse. Suffice it to say, you might get out of your boat and you might sink a little bit. But your Father is right there to reach out His hand and pick you back up. I think that's such an interesting lesson from that.